Hello everyone, it's Ben10clem here, back with another video. And today, I'm sorry, it's been really late, but the Ben10clem poll is officially out. And we're gonna go ahead and get started and show y'all. So here we go. So the AP poll did change a good bit. So we did have a lot of changes there. So let's go ahead and get all the changes I made personally. So this is the new poll. I don't know what y'all think, but I removed a couple teams that I dropped out of the top 25. Two of these teams are still in the AP top 25. But I removed them both. I just don't think they're good enough to be in there. I mean, Illinois was already low to begin with. And my previous one, my previous rankings changed a good bit. So if I show you all that. So the first week, my first time doing the top 25, it was Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, and Tennessee. But ever since Georgia played Alabama, it is now a lot different. And Georgia kind of got shit on. 41-34. I know that doesn't sound like a complete destruction, but it was 30-7 at half. Like, that's sad. So I dropped Georgia down to 4 and moved Alabama up to 1. Texas dropped 1. They did play Mississippi State. They won 35-13. They're still a great team. Easily top 4. Ohio State played Michigan State 38-7. I haven't moved them, and I don't think they need to be moved. They're in a good spot. Tennessee, in the AP poll, if I show you guys here, in the AP poll, if we look here, Tennessee is number 4, which personally I don't think they deserve that spot. I do think Georgia is better than Tennessee. Even after that loss, I do think they're better. But, yeah. And now, if I look at the continuation here, we go back. Now, so my 1 through 5 is 1, Alabama, 2, Texas, 3, Ohio State, 4, Georgia, 5, Tennessee. Tennessee didn't play, so I'm not moving them up or down. I feel like they're in a good spot. Now, we have a new number 6. So previously, well, no, number 6 is the same. So number 6 stays the same, and it's Oregon. And Oregon is also number 6 in the current AP poll. And I have at number 7 Penn State, which is also number 7 in the AP poll after beating Illinois 21-7. Which Illinois was number 19 at the time, and as you can see, I have them dropped out of the rankings. So it's a little different. I have them dropped out. I know that's pretty harsh, but I still think there's some teams that are just like putting them up there because I do think they're a better team. So yeah. Now, we have the most controversial topic coming up soon, but a couple controversial ones. So, number 10 on the AP poll is Michigan. I have them at 8. And this is where a lot of stuff changes from my previous top 25 week 5 poll. Is like I had Michigan at, let's see, let me bring it up here. I had Michigan at number 11, and I bumped them up to 8 even after their close win against Minnesota, it's just there's a lot of things that affected this, in my opinion. It's kind of hard to rank them because I think they're a good team, and then other times they get like really close as matchups, like versus Minnesota, 27-24. Like that's a very close game. I bumped them up to 8, which that's generous. Very generous. They have them at 10 in the AP poll. Now, I dropped Miami from 7 to 9. Miami should have lost that game against Virginia Tech. It was 38-34. That last Hail Mary catch should have been ruled as a touchdown, and Virginia Tech should have won. But the refs are blind and stupid, so I'm going to move Miami down if they're not going to move them down. Well, I mean, they moved them down by 1, but I'm moving them down by 2. So I was debating putting them at 10, but I do think they're better than Notre Dame still. So, yeah. Just showed Miami is not as good as we thought they were. I mean, Virginia Tech's not a bad team either, but Miami's been blown out every team they've played. So we'll have to see. Now, Notre Dame had a good win, impressive win against Louisville, 31-24. Louisville was ranked 15 at the time. I dropped them completely out of the rankings. As you can see, I have them dropped out of the top 25. Louisville was number 18 in my previous poll. And Notre Dame was 14. So I moved them up 4 spots, put them in the top 10. It's because we also had Utah lose to Arizona. So they dropped down 5 points. So pretty much almost swapped with them. And that's why I think Michigan moves up and USC moves up. But Ole Miss lost to Kentucky 20-17, which was a big surprise. In my poll, they were 6, so I dropped them. I dropped them to 11, dropped them 5 points down. I was not expecting that at all. I was expecting them to go in, have a good game, but maybe Kentucky's actually a good team, even though they don't have the best record right now. It's just they had a close game against Georgia. They had a close game against Mississippi, Ole Miss, and they won, which is surprising, but yeah. And then number 12, I have the exact same spot as number 12 is LSU. I did not move them. They're number 13 in the AP poll. I did not move them at all. I feel like they're fine where they are. Number 12 fits. They played South Alabama, very small school. Blew them out, 42-10. Then we got USC. I think Wisconsin's not a bad team. So they had a good win. It was 38-21 against Wisconsin. So last week I had them at 15. I moved them up to 13. I just feel like 2 spots, fair. It's good movement, but there's also tons of reason because Miami should have lost. Notre Dame had a good win. Ole Miss lost, and Utah lost. So I dropped Utah 5 and put them at 15. They dropped Utah to 18. I had them at 10. I put them down 5. They're at 15 for me. I still think they're probably top of the tier of the Big 12, in my opinion. But yeah, I have Clemson at 14 now. So there is a little bit of a change. Clemson was 17. I moved them up to 14. I think they're better than Iowa State. I think they're better than Utah. I think they're better than all the other teams I have down below. Clemson's just been looking good. They had a great win against Stanford, 40-14. Just undeniable truth. Now, they have them in the AP poll. They have them at, if you look here, they have them at number 15. I have them at 14. when last week I moved them up. Last week I had them at 17. So, I mean, and Missouri, I'm not impressed with Missouri. They didn't play, but I dropped them even lower. I don't know. After that Vanderbilt game, I keep thinking, like, you're an SEC school. You're playing against the worst SEC school. Really shouldn't even be in the SEC because they're always bottom of the barrel every year in the SEC. And they won in overtime. Missouri, yes, being undefeated at 17 is harsh, but I just can't keep putting them up. They are number 9 in the AP poll. I don't get that. I think Missouri would lose to Michigan. Clemson would beat Missouri. There's just like too much for me. I just don't see how they can justify having Missouri at 9. I had them at 13. I had them pretty low, but I drop them even more. I just don't think they deserve to be there. And at number 16, I have Iowa State, which is the same as the AP poll and the same as I had them week 5 in the Ben10clem poll. So they played. Did they play? Yeah, they played Houston 20-0. Low scoring game, but still didn't give any points up to Houston, which is impressive within itself. So, I mean, it's just kind of hard to move them up because they're a good team, but I don't think they're as good as Utah. And I'll be honest, I don't think they're as good as Kansas State. But just because they're undefeated, I'm leaving them where they are. 16, I think, is a fair number to have them at, so I'm going to keep them right there. Now, we already went over Missouri, 17. Now, 18, I have Kansas State University. I still think Kansas State is the second best in the entirety of the Big 12, if not the best. They showed it in their game against Oklahoma State, 42-20 at number 20 Oklahoma State. And I did drop Oklahoma State out of the top 25, and so did the top 20. So did the AP poll. So Kansas State was number 23 after their loss to BYU, and I moved them up to 18. I moved up BYU up by 1. I don't think people are hyping up BYU way too much. They played Baylor 34-28. They won at Baylor. Not a big game, like nothing like crazy. It's just I don't understand the hype around BYU. Yes, they're 5-0. Do they deserve that? I'm looking at who's better on paper, and on paper, Kansas State is better. They have more impressive wins, in my opinion. Like Oklahoma State, I thought was way better, and arguably is, I would say, on par with BYU. And this is probably going to upset a lot of people, but you'll see after I talk about Oklahoma. Oklahoma beat Auburn barely, 27-21. Only moved them up 1. I had them at 20, so they're now at 19. Now, number 20 is a not-ranked opponent in the AP poll and was not ranked in the Ben10clem poll, yet I have them at 20. Arizona, ladies and gentlemen. Arizona. I think Arizona's really good. They've been playing really well. They beat Utah 23-10. It's just Arizona is a slept-on Big 12 team. They are top 20 in my book. It just makes sense to keep them in the top 20. They beat Utah and fair and square, and yeah, it's just I don't think people realize how competitive the Big 12 is. I've said it over and over and over and over again. The Big 12 is easily the second most competitive conference right now. Because you got Utah, you got Arizona, you got Kansas State, you got BYU, you got Iowa State. You got all these teams that are in the Big 12 that can compete. Now, up next, we have BYU moving up one spot. BYU is number 17 in the AP poll. They were 22 last week on the Ben10clem poll. I have them at 21. And if you look here, forgot to bring it back up, but here's the rankings. Still, I think BYU is not terrible, but they're not the best either. So I just moved them up one spot. I think that's fair. Their win against Baylor was okay. They moved them up 5 spots in the AP poll, which is insane to me. But I'm keeping them at 21. Low tier in the top 25. Then 22nd, I have James Madison. I don't know how they do not have James Madison up in the top 25 in the AP poll. They have been destroying their opponents, very well. If I go here, look at James Madison right now. Where are you? Am I blind? Okay, I think I'm blind. I can't find James Madison. But James Madison has been blowing out every team they played. And by a pretty big margin. So I think they deserve that spot. Yeah, there they are. They're 4-0. They played Ball State 63-7, and that win against North Carolina 70-50 is still an insane feat, in my opinion. They definitely deserve that. There's a couple teams that I considered also bringing in to the top 25 that I'll talk about later, but 23 welcome a new team into the top 25, and that new team is Indiana. Indiana is undefeated at the moment, and they are also ranked number 23, so I have them at the same rank as the AP poll, and they're new in the Ben10clem poll. They're undefeated in the Big 10, which is impressive alone, as it is. So, yeah, I think they deserve moving up. 24, same spot as it was last time for me. It's Texas A&M. Not moving them up, not moving them down. They're fine where they're at. And Texas A&M is 25 in the AP poll. My bad. And I kept them the same where they were last week. I have them at 24. And then another new addition, we have Rutgers. Rutgers is another new addition that I decided to add. They are 4-0. I could have put a couple other teams. They played 2 small teams, then Virginia Tech, and won by 3, and then they played Washington and won by, it was 21-18, so it was a good game. But I think Rutgers is a solid team. They're not bad at all. I just put them in top 25. I realistically probably should have put Louisville in at 25 spot, but I just don't see them as a top 25 team. And there's a couple other teams that I thought just were at the cusp of making it. Army and Navy, both 4-0. And that's crazy to think. Both of those teams are doing good in their division. Both tearing it up. Army and Navy. Both just winning. And they both end up playing Notre Dame. They have Notre Dame, and they obviously play each other during their year. So it's going to be interesting to see that. Another team that I also considered moving up is Duke. They're 5-0. They're not doing bad at all. And another team that I also considered moving up was, let's see, where is it? Is UNLV. UNLV is like the only other team that I would consider moving up. UNLV is doing pretty good this year, but I've seen tons of talk about the players not wanting to play if they don't get paid, blah, 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 etc. It's just, I don't know. We'll see. I just don't think UNLV is going to be a top contender. So, to be honest, that's where it stands. And obviously, you guys can see here who dropped out of the top 25. My poll: Louisville, Oklahoma State University, and Illinois. So there you have it. The Ben10clem poll week 6 is here now. So I'm going to list off the AP top 25 and then list off my top 25 to end it off. So the AP poll has, here we go. We got Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, Tennessee, Georgia, Oregon, Penn State, Miami, Missouri, Michigan, USC, Ole Miss, LSU, Notre Dame, Clemson, Iowa State, BYU, Utah, Oklahoma, Kansas State, Boise State, Louisville, Indiana, Illinois, Texas A&M, and UNLV. And they had only one team drop out, and that was Oklahoma State. So, yeah, I just do think it's a pretty good ranking. I do think their ranking's pretty accurate, other than dropping Georgia out of the top 4 is a little harsh. I also do not agree with their Missouri at all. Missouri being there. So, yeah. There you have it. That's going to be that. And here's mine: Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, Miami, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, LSU, USC, Clemson, Utah, Iowa State, Missouri, Kansas State, Oklahoma, Arizona, BYU, James Madison, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Rutgers. So that's going to be the Ben10clem poll, and I do hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what y'all think, and if you don't agree with something, let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's been it. See you next week for week 7 of the Ben10clem poll. Should be some good games like Missouri versus Texas A&M. I think that's going to be a good game. That's probably the only good game in the top 25, I'd say. But yeah, anyways, that's going to end it off here, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.